President Trump and Joe Biden attacked each other yesterday in what could be a preview of either the 2020 election or a tremendous migraine I felt coming on for weeks. Speaking in Iowa, a state that is now populated entirely by Democrat presidential candidates, Biden said that Trump was literally an existential threat to America, meaning that America would literally cease to exist if Trump continued to be president, which would make it difficult for Americans to find a place to park, although it would be a lot easier for them to swim to France. Biden later said he didn't mean Trump was literally an existential threat. He just liked the way it sounded when he used big words like literally and existential, until he found out what literally and existential literally mean. Then it just sounded virtually stupid. Biden went on to declare, quote, President Trump has committed gross abuses of power, like using the IRS to silence political opponents, making laws through executive action, and unleashing federal agencies to spy on opposition candidates. Or maybe that was Obama. But anyway, it was one of those presidents, and it's got to stop, unquote. Biden did spend some time talking about his policies, like his pledge to either support or oppose the Hyde Amendment, and his sense that China either was or wasn't a threat to America, whichever you prefer. Trump responded to Biden's attacks by calling Biden a series of insulting nicknames, like Sleepy Joe, Creepy Joe, Sloppy Joe, Cup of Joe, Morning Joe, and Scumpface. He then dropped his pants and wagged his backside in Biden's general direction, which some Trump supporters cheered as a new tone for the presidency, reminiscent of Abraham Lincoln when he mooned Jefferson Davis in this really weird dream they had. In any case, if this does turn out to be a preview of the 2020 presidential campaign, I think it literally is an existential threat to America, and we should probably all start swimming to France. Trigger warning. I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, ipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
Yesterday, we talked about the imaginary world in which Donald Trump is a Hitler-like oppressor, as opposed to the real world in which he's kind of a bore, but is doing an excellent job on the economy and in judicial appointments, and in the process of trying some interesting stuff on the international front on which the jury is still out. Now, this fake world of oppression in which nobody is actually oppressed, but everyone goes around wailing about how oppressed they are, is a world promoted by Democrats, which is just politics. That's fine. But what bothers me is that the Democrat lie is amplified by the mainstream news media, which is over 90% Democrat, and then hammered home by Hollywood with comedians who only attack one side and film companies who rewrite history for people who were never taught anything but leftist history in college. And if that's not enough, any opposing opinion is deplatformed, blacklisted, and shouted down. It's what I call the empire of lies. So yesterday, Joe Biden, who's been hiding Biden up till now, came out of hiding to attack Trump. And it's clear he plans to depend on this empire to carry him to the White House. Almost everything he said was distorted. Almost nothing he said was factually true, and some of it was openly false, and no one in the mainstream took the time to fact-check or challenge him on any of it, as far as I saw, whereas Trump only has to sneeze to get 4 Pinocchios for achoo. So we're facing a test, not Trump against Biden. I understand that people have different opinions about that. Of course they do. That's politics. But it's a contest between reality and a carefully built, painfully maintained world of the imagination, which matters because freedom requires a hard-boiled, realistic approach to human nature and the facts. And as we know from our old pal T.S. Eliot, humankind cannot bear very much reality, so we are always in an uphill fight. We'll talk about who's going to win, but first, let us talk about, we'll talk about Lightstream, because all of us, every one of us, uses credit cards as if they don't matter. We don't expect that bill to ever show up. We just hand over the plastic. We get the stuff. Why worry? But then the bill shows up, and if you can't afford to keep up with your credit card payments, you get slammed on interest. I mean, huge interest on credit cards. You can beat that with a refinance loan, consolidation loan from Lightstream. It's an easy way to save hundreds to thousands of dollars and lower your interest rate. Lightstream offers credit card consolidation loans from 5.95% APR with autopay. There are no fees, and you can even get your money as soon as the day you apply. Lightstream believes that people with good credit deserve a better loan experience, and that's exactly what they deliver. Just for my listeners, apply now to get a special interest rate discount. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/Andrew. lightstream.com/Andrew. Check it out. This is subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Andrew for more information. All right. So before Biden even spoke yesterday, CNN had a chyron that said Biden to eviscerate Donald Trump, which sounded a little violent to me. I don't know, just the idea that he was going to cut open Donald Trump and rip out his guts. It's not the sort of thing you announce on CNN. It's the sort of thing, like after it's done, you might say, wow, he really eviscerated him. But to announce that this is what's coming, I don't know, it just seemed a little strange. But Biden did mention Trump again and again and again. I don't know how many times, I lost count. But what got me about it is he's selling this completely sentimental idea of Barack Obama, which is built up over 8 years of supine press worship of Obama, right? I saw on Twitter the other day, this woman said, I went to the National Gallery and saw I saw Obama's portrait and I burst into tears. And I said to the guard, do you get a lot of criers? And the guard said, yes. And I tell him, don't cry, fight back. And I thought, well, I cried for all 8 years of the Obama presidency, so I understand. But that is the lie that was created, the lie of this civil, statesman-like man with remember, he's scandal-free. We all know he's scandal-free. And Biden knows the press will do that for him. He knows the empire of lies exists. He knows Stephen Colbert will back him up. He knows Netflix will make movies about it. They'll send movies, in the theaters about it. And so he's playing on that and depending on that to carry him through. So listen to Biden talk about basically Obama versus him as the new Obama, Biden is the new Obama, and Trump as the evildoer who has ended all civility in government. This is cut number 1.
When a man has to mention my name 76 times in...
It's my fault. That's cut number 2.
He's setting a standard of crude language and embarrassing behavior that is burrowing deep into our culture, for real, into our culture. Now, it's going to take some time to get rid of it, but we must. We must. It's not who we are. And folks, thirdly, our democracy. Our democracy is at risk. I never thought I'd use those words in my lifetime, but it's true. Everywhere you turn, Trump is tearing down the guardrails of democracy, tearing down the things that prevent the abuse of power. Whether it's a man raising his hand to strike a woman or a child, or an employer threatening workers and treating them like dirt, or an American president who has no respect for the rule of law, I can't stand it, and most Americans can't stand the abuse of power. Fake news, enemy of the people. These aren't words to be laughed at or dismissed. Just look what's happening around the world. Think of the dictators and tyrants using the exact same language Trump uses to justify their abuses of power in their countries. Not a joke. Think about it. Trump's goal is simple. Discredit the news, discredit the free press, and run over the American people in terms of their safeguards roughshod.
So Joe Biden representing himself from the Obama administration. And first of all, if I have to listen to another 4 years of That's Not Who We Are, I may actually get in a rowboat and start paddling for France myself. But he's talking about Trump's attacks on the press, no question, enemy of the people, fake news. Let's just think about the reality, okay? Just for a sec. I mean, I hate to shatter the glass palace of the Democrats that's the center of the Democrat empire of lies. But think about what Obama actually did. Let me read this. This is from Beckett Adams in the Washington Examiner. It's not even up to date, but it is up to date for now. 2009, the Obama White House intentionally excluded Fox News' Chris Wallace from participating in a round of interviews. The White House initially lied about this, and many in the press went along with it. It wasn't until 2011 that the public learned the truth. An internal email showed the White House director of broadcast media told Treasury officials specifically, "We'd prefer if you skip Fox, please." In 2010, the Obama administration renewed the bogus Bush-era subpoena against the New York Times' James Risen in a prolonged attempt to determine whether the reporter was the recipient of leaked CIA information. In February 2011, federal investigators were revealed to have spied on Risen. Federal investigators pored over Risen's credit reports and his personal bank records. This is a New York Times reporter. The feds even tracked his phone logs and movements under Obama. In 2012, Fox was mysteriously excluded from a White House conference call pertaining to the terrorist attacks in Benghazi. Fox was also excluded from an all-network CIA briefing regarding the attacks. In 2013, the Obama Justice Department labeled then Fox News reporter James Rosen a criminal co-conspirator under the Espionage Act of 1917, and all because the reporter used a State Department contractor as a source for a story. Rosen was also labeled a flight risk. The Justice Department seized the records of at least 5 phone lines connected to Fox News. The federal law enforcement agency even seized the phone records of Rosen's parents. The FBI also got a warrant to search Rosen's emails from 2010. In May 2013, the Associated Press revealed that the Justice Department had secretly collected 2 months' worth of personal and work-related phone calls made by AP reporters and editors. Federal officials secretly obtained records on incoming and outgoing calls made by specific AP journalists as well as general news staff. The news group reported potentially compromising many sources totally unrelated to the investigation. 2014, the Obama administration set the record. They set the record for denying the most Freedom of Information Act requests of any administration, and it topped that in 2015. So Donald Trump calls the press the enemy of the people, and he calls them fake news. Obama was spying on them. No scandal Obama was spying on them. That's also, again, bringing up the IRS silencing of political opposition and potentially the FBI's investigation of an opposition political campaign. We're talking about words versus deeds. It's a great big difference. I need the next ad up on the thing so I can see it. I have to tell you the story. I have a problem that comes from having sat and typed for years, and also I've taken a lot of falls. I've been an outdoorsman all my life, taken a lot of falls. I've banged up spine, and it really it pinches and it makes my arm kind of weak sometimes. And I went to a doctor, and he said, well, you could get a shot, but that's kind of dangerous. What I want to do is cut your throat open and put a plastic disc in there for you. And I said, well, isn't that dangerous? And so help me. He said, what? So I've just used a lot of weight work to build up the muscles around my spine, and that's really been helpful. But another thing I've started trying is a teeter device on which you hang upside down, and it stretches you out. It uses gravity and your own body weight to decompress your spine and release tension in your shoulders, neck, and joints. Decompressing on a teeter inversion table for a few minutes a day is a great addition to anyone's daily routine to maintain a healthy spine and active lifestyle without pain. If you have back pain, you could use a teeter to invert every day and keep your back and joints feeling great. For a limited time, you can get the upgraded model of the Teeter Fit Spine Inversion Table with bonus accessories, traction handles, an easy reach ankle system, plus a free inversion program mat with 24 illustrated stretches and exercises. Teeter inversion tables have thousands of reviews on Amazon and are rated at 4.9 stars. And with this deal, you get $150 off when you go to teeter.com/Andrew. You'll also get free shipping, free returns, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So there's absolutely no risk. Remember, you can only get the upgraded model of the Teeter Fit Spine Inversion Table plus a free inversion program mat for $150 off by going to teeter.com/Andrew. That's TEETER.com/Andrew. So let's listen to Trump responding to some of this. This is cut number 4, talking about the Democrats.
Nancy is a mess. The Democratic Party is a mess. They're doing everything they can to win the election in 2020. They are guilty of many crimes, many crimes, what they've done. They're guilty of many crimes. And hopefully in a short period of time, that'll be seen. They should never have done what they've done. And all they do is waste time on these investigations where there's no obstruction, no collusion, no nothing. And in the meantime, they can't get a border deal done. They can't do anything. We need, in addition to the great deal with Mexico, we need them to work on illegal immigration, on lower drug prices, on infrastructure, and they're not doing anything. They've come to a halt.
So Trump is acting alone, right? He has no empire of lies surrounding him. They keep complaining about Fox News, where Hannity and Laura Ingraham support Trump. But of course, that's the two shows on that, on Fox News. And everybody keeps complaining about him because they're the only station where he gets any support at all. Everybody else, what he just said there, perfectly reasonable political point. They're not doing anything. They're wasting their time with these investigations. But all those investigations are given credence by a news media and an entertainment media that are going to say this is reality. So Biden is operating in this world that simply does not exist. The world of a wonderful Obama who let the press do anything. Even at the time, the New York Times was complaining, people at the New York Times were complaining that Obama was the most oppressive, most intrusive president against the press they had ever seen, okay? Whereas what has Trump done? Who has he arrested? He threw, what's his name? Look at me, I'm Jim Acosta, out of the press corps for a little while because he manhandled a woman trying to wrest the mic out of his hands. But aside from that, really, what has he done? What has he done to oppress the press? Virtually nothing, and yet they are sitting there saying, oh my God, here's the Hitler coming after us, and Biden knows it. He knows he can do it. Let's listen to a little bit more of Biden making accusations against Trump that simply are not true.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our core values. And if you wondered about that, remember what happened in Charlottesville. I never thought I'd see that happen in my lifetime again. And what happened? When he was asked to comment on it, he said, quote, there were very fine people in both groups. No president of the United States, Democrat or Republican, has ever said something like that. Never. And it was a response heard round the world. But most importantly, it was a response heard by our children. Our children were listening. The idea that we give credit. Look, folks, America was built in the way we were built, basic core values, decency, honor, leaving no one behind, realizing that there are things that are bigger than you in America, that we have to get together, we have to cooperate.
So the Trump thing was indeed, as Biden said, heard around the world. It was a lie. In that press conference, like a couple of lines down, Trump said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists. I'm not talking about the Nazis. They deserve to be universally condemned. So he was obviously referring to people who were arguing about what the statue was, whether the statue stayed up and what the park was called. There were good people on both sides, which no doubt was true. So he can do that because that myth was promulgated by the press. It was spread by the press, spread by Stephen Colbert, spread by the late night comics, continually put out there. So now when it's debunked, nobody knows. Nobody knows it was debunked. I mean, that is just not going to be repeated anywhere near the number of times. Biden knows it. He knows he's living in the empire of lies. He wants to be emperor of the empire of lies and make it to the White House that way. And by the way, just to add to this, when he says that America was built on ideas of leaving no one behind and cooperation and dignity and honor, no, it wasn't. Dignity and honor, of course, are wonderful, wonderful things. And I'll get to that. I'll get back to that in a moment. But that's not what America was built on. It was built on the idea of a limited government, a government very restrained by a constitution that enumerated its powers and that it had no powers except those that were enumerated in the Constitution. It has veered from that idea with the help of guys like Joe Biden. That's the idea that America was built on. Dignity and honor, always a good thing. But the idea of leaving no one behind, show me that. Show me in the Constitution where it says we'll leave no one behind. When you're free, people get left behind. That's one of the things that happens when you're free. If you don't like being free, you can have everybody equal. You know, the two times people are equal is when they're slaves and when they're dead. That is when people are equal. But all America promised was equal treatment under the law and equal defense of your rights. And those are two values that the Democrats have veered from. So again, just everything he says, he depends on this structure that has been built up. And by the way, partly the right's fault, right, for allowing that to happen. It's partly the right. There's no inherent reason why the news media has to be run by Democrats. There's no inherent reason why universities have to have been taken over by the left. There's no inherent reason why the conservatives don't have movie studios, distribution arms, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. All of those were built by people who happen to be on the left using protect people who are on the left because they were trained in colleges where they're taught to be on the left. That is not necessarily the way it has to be. We let that happen. We stood by and let that happen while we were arguing over nonsense like who wins the 130th congressional district in, Rhode Island or whatever, and getting tied up on issues that we were never going to win. So we allowed that to happen because we're always worried about the moment. We're always in a panic, and we don't pay attention to the culture, the bigger things that are taking place. So here is the thing, the one thing on which Biden and all of the Democrats have a strength, which is the question of dignity and civility. And I'll get back to this in a minute, but let's hear Biden go after Trump Trump go after Biden, in his typical Trumpian way. Cut one.
When a man has to mention my name 76 times in a speech, that means he's in trouble. Now, I have to tell you, he's a different guy. He looks different than he used to. He acts different than he used to. He's even slower than he used to be. So I don't know. But when he mentions my name that many times, I guess I should be complimented. No, I'd rather run against, I think, Biden than anybody. I think he's the weakest mentally. And I like running against people that are weak mentally. I think Joe is the weakest up here. The other ones have much more energy. I don't agree with their policies, but I think Joe is a man who is, I call him 1% Joe, because until Obama came along, he didn't do very well. Joe Biden thought that China was not a competitor of ours. Joe Biden is a dummy. Joe Biden thought China was not a competitor. China made $500 billion over a short period of time against Obama, Biden, and for many, many years, in all fairness to them.
So we've all gotten used to Trump at this point. We've gotten used to that tone of voice, that he's a dummy, that he hasn't got anything up here and all this stuff. And we got used to it, or at least I did. I accepted it because I knew the alternative was so much worse. The alternative, the socialism, the slavery, the infanticide. I mean, we're not even arguing about abortion anymore. We're arguing about the killing of babies who have been born or who are about to be born. I'm not going to detail how that takes place. I'm sure some of you, most of you probably have heard it at some point. It's unbearable. It's unbearable to be in a country where people are arguing that should be done to essentially a living child. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd and evil that we're arguing with that. That is the alternative. But here's the thing. Kurt Schlichter, who's a great guy. I like Kurt a lot. He's a terrific writer. He writes very intensely. But he has only one side. He is completely on the Trump train all the way and hates the Never-Trumpers almost as much, if not more, than he hates the Democrats. And he writes this column attacking the Never-Trumpers. They always end up with David French. Poor David. I mean, David's a wonderful person. I disagree with him. I disagree with him about Donald Trump, but he's a great guy. I don't know why he has become like the poster boy for Never-Trumpism as opposed to other Never-Trumpers. But anyway, Kurt begins this column saying there's a debate going on inside conservatism between... I love the guy. Here's a debate going on inside conservatism between the insufferable sissies who insist that we normals are morally obligated to submit to being crushed by the leftists who hate us and want us enslaved or dead, and actual conservatives. Maybe I'm simplifying this intellectual dispute a bit. Wait, no, I'm not. You either want to defeat the liberal elite that despises us or you don't. It's those of us who seek to win versus the never-Trump losers, and there's no middle ground. Win or lose, pick one. Now, I have attacked, or at least argued with, the Never-Trumpers who say it's not a binary system. Of course it's a binary system. There are two parties. If one, and the people who sit around say, yes, well, if Hillary Clinton had won, then 4 years later we'd have done this, 4 years later. I mean, the same people didn't even know Trump was going to win that night. How the hell do they know it's going to happen over 4 years? It's a binary system. If you don't vote for one person, you're voting for the other person. But it's not a binary system, win or lose. It's not a binary system, win or lose, because Trump, with his lack of dignity, with his insult, with his boorishness, his insulting, loses votes. He's losing votes. He loses women. He loses people who don't want to see the president behave that way. He doesn't have to behave that way to fight with everything he's got. I don't think Trump can stop himself. I think that's who Trump is. Character in this sense is fate. I mean, that's not what it means, but in this sense, I think it does. Look, again, the idea that Obama was a scandal-free, dignified president is crap. He was oppressive. He was offensive to the Constitution. He was much worse in terms of violating our constitutional rights than Donald Trump has been ever. Those are the facts. But Trump plays into the image of himself that the empire of lies has created by behaving that way. And I know that, it gins up his base, and I know they love it. But it is a problem. There's no question about that. It's a problem in terms of winning and losing. And it's also a problem of what it is the price we are paying to fight back this tide of socialism, incompetence, and also just the hatred of freedom, the hatred of individuals, and as Kurt says, of normal people that the Democrat Party has now come to represent. But this is the problem when you have a structure built on creating anti-Republican lies. It is a problem when Trump plays into that image by the way he sometimes behaves. All right, we got the mailbag coming up, but first we should talk about the Dollar Shave Club, which is a sponsor I always am happy to recommend because I was a member of the Dollar Shave Club and still am, but I was a member long before they became our sponsor. I love that they have everything I need to look, feel, and even smell my best. You can't smell me from here, but I smell fabulous. And I love the fact that I never have to go to a store. DSC delivers everything I need right to my door, and they keep me fully stocked on what I use so I don't run out. Dollar Shave Club has everything you need to get ready, no matter what you're getting ready for. They have you covered head to toe, your hair, your skin, your face. You name it, they have it. And they have this new program where they automatically keep you stocked up on the products you use. You determine what you want and when you want it, and it shows up right at your door from once a month to once every 6 months. Plus, with their handsome discount, the more you buy, the more you save. Right now, they've got a bunch of starter sets you can try for just $5, like their oral care kit. After that, the restock box ships regular size products at regular price. So what are you waiting for? Get your starter set for just $5 right now at dollarshaveclub.com/Klavan. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Klavan. People will look at you and say, wow, how did you spell Klavan? So you better know it's Klavan. All right, we got the mailbag coming up. Could you wait for a second? Can you not hold off for one lousy second? The mailbag is coming up. We have to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. Come over to dailywire.com and subscribe. It allows you $10 a month, allows you $100 for the entire year. If you subscribe for the year, you get that Leftist Tears tumbler. I hope you're going to need it. Plus, you get to be in the mailbag, which is stuffy and uncomfortable and a little scratchy and sometimes gives you a rash. But when you get out, you get to ask questions about anything you want. My answers are guaranteed 100% correct and will change your life on occasion for the better.